Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode 255 of the 8-Bit Adventures Podcast. I am your host, Sean Hayes, as always, and we don't have a lot of actual gaming news this week. It's a very pop culture sort of movie heavy week. There is some stuff that is although it's movie and streaming related, is for video game properties. So yeah, there wasn't, after the glut of news last week from the Nintendo Direct, not really a whole lot going on. Aside from, I don't have it in the show notes. So just a little bit of extra bonus news before we actually get into our news for the week. The eShop for the Wii U and the 3DS are finally coming to a close a year from now. So Nintendo decided to give everybody a year heads up. So, but yeah, again, didn't have time to get it in the show notes for prepping the show, but just wanted to throw that out there. So start planning ahead. It's it's still a ways out. Hope everyone's been doing well. We've had a little bit of a rough week here, just being sick again, although less like COVID this time and more mundane stuff. So but yeah, so we've got some good stuff. We got that. We're gonna talk about Book of Boba Fett. This will be a spoiler cast, so when we get into our deep dive segment, if you have not seen the Book of Boba Fett, that will be your cue. Because this will be a full review, and will not shy away from spoiling things. So just want to give you a heads up there. I also have it in the title of the stream. And it will be in the podcast title as well. For those who are audio listeners. But again, give you plenty of heads up for that. So, yeah. All in all, quite a few, some interesting and possibly some hot takes incoming regarding some of these pieces of news. So, why don't we get right to it, folks? Shall we? All right, first piece of news for quick fire news of Wednesday, February 16th, 2022 is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We got a full trailer for it. Also, there's some slight spoilers for this if you haven't seen the trailer. So just gonna be aware. Oh boy. I don't know if it was mentioned earlier. Mentioned previously. Sam Raimi directing this. So that should be interesting. Sam Raimi making his return to making Marvel movies. But this looks intriguing. Wanda definitely getting vibes of potentially being set up as now a full-fledged supervillain. Possibly. And some real maybe cosmic horror. Getting into that of just this feeling of infiniteness. Look at tie-in to Marvel's What If, with the other, with I don't know how to describe it, the Monster Strange, who absorbs all those monsters in his pursuit for power, and a little one-off line there from one Sir Patrick Stewart, which I'm still I can't get over it. Because what does that mean? I don't because spoilers for Logan, like I was under the impression, so I haven't seen Logan, but like I heard, quite a bit about it. Like I was under the impression that Professor Xavier dies in that film. So like where does this fit in then? Is it a different universe from that where he's still alive? Is it prior in that timeline? Like but yeah, so Patrick Stewart, presumably Professor Xavier, like otherwise that is a huge bait and switch. Right, to have an actor, a very well-known actor who played a very well-known Marvel character, but then to not cast him as that same character in a film concerning with the multiverse. So I don't know. Simplest answer is it's Professor Xavier, and it's either a different point in the timeline or a separate universe from that universe of X-Men films where he is still Professor Xavier, and still alive. But I got goosebumps. I'm excited. I am so excited for this film. I am super stoked. And they didn't that was I would say that was like a little bit of a spoil, a little bit of a taste. But like all in all, they still haven't given away a lot of the plot, it seems. Just like a major plot point that we already knew going into it, which is the multiverse is going to be concerned somehow, and Wanda's going to be there and is involved. Although I think Monster Strange is definitely an interesting point, and now that the fact that like they're pulling in from the What If series, I think now is gonna really complicate matters. So I'm I'm super excited for this film. What's it? May, I think, is when it comes out. Right? I think it's May. Yeah, May 6th. It can't get here soon enough. Oh my goodness. A couple episodes ago when I had my friend Jamal on, we were joking about, Batman or whatever. I'm not excited. I'm not really excited for Batman. I'm super excited for this. That's just me. I hope Batman's good. I hope the Batman is good, especially for Batman fans. But this is what I'm stoked about. You know what I'm not stoked about though? Our next bit of news. We got a teaser trailer for Chippendale Rescue Rangers, which is upcoming Disney Plus original film from Lonely Island. Not something I would have ever thought I would utter. And what this looks like is some sort of attempt at doing like another Who Framed Roger Rabbit film, but like it's like Rescue Rangers meets Who Framed Roger Rabbit meets like VH1 Behind the Music. Sort of like taking the Who Framed Roger Rabbit concept and like they're like fully aware that they are cartoon characters. So I think that's an interesting departure from what, a lot of these adaptations from Disney have done. But I think so doing that style of film, like doing a Roger Rabbit style of film, I think you have to do it well, because there's a lot of technical aspects to it that if it's not done well, it just comes off looking awkward and off-putting. And I think for me, this is kind of where it's hitting. And it's, especially since I think Andy Samberg was on DuckTales. Or was it one of the other members? Oh, maybe it was John Mulaney. Hang on. one of them uh was in the recent DuckTales show as one of the nephews. Um and so like especially in like two Disney properties having the same voice, and like it's not like trying to really do different voices with these two different characters. It's very much just the same voice, and it's just, you know, whoever it is just using their voice. uh like I think that that for me is causing some sort of oh, what's the word, cognitive dissonance. That's the phrase that I'm looking for. It just it does not work for me, because like, and especially since I've watched a lot of the new DuckTales series, so like hearing that character and then hearing, you know, the nephews, it's like this is the same person, like, and I'm just completely taken out of it. um I don't know. You know, I love Rescue Rangers. It was one of my favorite shows growing up. um and like when, you know, initially when Disney said, hey, we're gonna do a Rescue Rangers Disney Plus original, I was like, okay, yeah. And then they said we're gonna do it live action, and I went, that's so that's concerning. um and then when they announced who was doing the voice work, and now that it's like Lonely Island doing it, now it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't feel good about it. So, you know, I am certainly happy to be wrong about it, you know, and maybe it'll be good. But I think it's an ambitious project, and I'm worried that uh that at least on the technical aspects that they might not pull it off. And that if you don't pull off the technical aspects, it's bad. Like it just comes across as very clunky, and it does not mesh well. Um, Also, that 3D model of Dale is cursed. It is a cursed image, folks. Uh, no, I don't like it. It's I feel about I feel so the folks, actually, you know, I kind of felt this too. Seeing that original Sonic image in the film, that's how I feel about that 3D model of Dale. Uh, it looks wrong. There's just like something, like enough things that are off about it. Um, but like it's all like it's not going to get reworked. Like I can guarantee that. Like there's not going to be a giant writing campaign, and like Disney's not going to cave to a fan write-in campaign and pressure on social media to make, you know, Dale look better. Uh Especially since it's just coming to Disney Plus. Like it's not actually coming to theaters. So they're getting their money. Uh oh, I just, oh, I don't. Also, like it's like really kind of dark themes to it in the trailer. Like it kind of a bit more adult themes than you would expect for what was like a Disney afternoon cartoon. Um you know, of like Monterey Jack like dealing with a cheese addiction, but like doing it in such a way that like he's hit rock bottom. Uh so yeah, oh. I I. The more I talk about it, the more I'm just like, this says red flags all over it for me. Um so yeah, I don't know. I think this is going to be, I'm going to have to have somebody else see it first before I watch it. Just that, like, and because like Roger Rabbit was like a groundbreaking thing, and they haven't like they've done some things with that, you know, and I think there's something fundamentally different with having 2D animated characters working with live action than 3D animated characters working with live action. And here's the thing, and this might be a hot take, is I think, because it's the case with video games, sprites, like in sprite work or just 2D like line work in video games, ages so much better than 3D animation does. Like once you start getting into polygons, stuff does not hold up. It does not hold up. Like, unless you have rock solid art direction and capitalize on like having like simplicity in your stuff so that you can get away with you know, limited polygons. Like, I'm, you know, talking about like PS1 era, N64, like a whole bunch of that stuff, like for stuff that looks more cartoony and kind of leaned into, you know, the cartoon factor, like holds up a lot better than stuff that was trying to be really like quote unquote realistic at the time. Whereas, you know, if you were to just do like a 2D game, with, you know, like comic style graphics or pixels, that's going to hold up and that's going to be more timeless. And I think the same holds true for animation. You know, like if we go back and look at, you know, 2D animated stuff from, say, the mid 90s, holds up visually a lot better than 3D animated stuff from the mid 90s. Like, let's be real, folks. Beast Wars and Reboot, they look bad now. They do not hold up. Whereas, you know, anything that was 2D animated holds up better. And I think, you know, when doing it, especially with live action, is, you know, the 3D, there's so much focus on making it look like real and meshing that, you know, ultimately, like when it releases, it's gonna be like, oh, like look at that, oh, it looks so good, and everything. And like 5 years down the line, it's gonna be like, that looks terrible. Now obviously there's some exceptions, but you know, my wife and I have noted when we were watching, we'll go back and forth with watching like Harry Potter, but noting just the difference in CG quality between Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and how Lord of the Rings CGI work holds up better than Harry Potter's does. At least, you know, from the films that came out during that same time period. Because like Sorcerer's Stone and Fellowship of the Ring came out at the same year, I think, or pretty close to each other. And looking at the visual effects, is one holds up a lot better than the other one does. So yeah, anyway, I've spoken a long time about these two topics. It's just, I have a lot of feelings about Rescue Rangers. Now, I'm not going to be a person that says like, this ruined my child. This film does not ruin my childhood. This might just not, you know. So number one, this might not be a film for me. But at the same time, I don't know who. I don't know. I don't like. It's just, like the whole demographic surrounding it is just confusing to me. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to see what the general consensus is when it comes out. Like, I'm scared to watch it. Just the trailer did not make me excited for it. And I think there just might be a lot of critical issues um, with the filmmaking itself. So, but I don't know. Maybe it appeals to people who don't have as much of a connection. I don't know. It's such a bizarre concept to attach to Rescue Rangers specifically, as opposed to say doing another Roger Rabbit film. I don't know. Which also apparently Roger Rabbit may appear in the film. Like that's why it's very weird. It's super weird. I don't understand. I don't know. I'm also wondering what this is gonna if it's gonna be rated anything, because it's just going straight to Disney Plus. So I don't know how the film ratings board or the FCC rates that stuff. But yeah, it like let's put it, if it's gonna be like the equivalent of a PG-13, that's gonna feel real weird again for a Disney afternoon cartoon show spinoff. I don't know. Honestly, I kind of wish that they just kept rolling stuff into DuckTales and just kept DuckTales going. Because they were doing a lot of really great stuff there. So anyway, we got to move on. We have to move on because we got to talk about Boba Fett. So we got to get there. So next up, speaking of series, and you know what I think could be probably a better execution is Paramount has confirmed that a third Sonic the Hedgehog film is already in development. Second one hasn't even come out yet, and I guess there's enough hype surrounding it. And from what I understand, the first one did well enough. And like, you know, not a great film, but like, you know, definitely stands out on the better end of like video game films, which again, low bar, but like, you know, was like okay. You know, because it's done in a made for kids movie format, so like, you know, kind of predictable storyline and stuff like that, but also people are going to just see Sonic the Hedgehog do Sonic the Hedgehog things. So third film is in development already, and then a spin-off Knuckles series featuring Idris Elba. I guess there is enough hype around Knuckles that not only is Paramount greenlighting a third film, but also a spin-off series, presumably for Paramount Plus. I think now also the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon, which was also on the Disney Channel for a while. You know, critically speaking, not great. All right. But we didn't watch it because it was critically great. We watched it because it was Sonic the Hedgehog, and then there was the novelty of having video game cartoons on TV. And you know, it was just kind of chaos. Like that was which apt for that show. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could do well with this. You know, there's definitely some Sonic lore that they could expand upon, especially with Knuckles, you know, going into Chaos Emerald stuff. So who knows? I mean, I wonder if the series is going to come out in between the second and third film. As a way to sort of like bridge the gap and show like maybe it's like a turning point, like, because we don't know if Knuckles is going to be just an antagonist in the second film, or if he's going to turn and sort of join up with Sonic and Tails, or if that's going to be in the series where like something, you know, they go through a character development and then he switches sides, sort of a thing. I don't know. I should see Sonic the Hedgehog at some point. But yeah, I think this might be a better way of adapting something. Oh God, it's so weird. I can't. All right. Oh, you know, I should have rearranged stuff here. I got one that would have made sense flopping it, but next up, Lego, in partnership with Horizon Forbidden West, is releasing a set in May that features Aloy, a Watcher, and a Tallneck This looks rad, folks. This is a big ol'. So for those who have not played Horizon Zero Dawn, Tallnecks are these like, they look like giraffes, but they are the size of like brachiosaurs. They are massive robots, and they look like they're built like giraffes, but they're like skyscrapers tall, and they have what looks like a giant Starship Enterprise main deck disc as their head. And what they do is they serve as like a satellite relay communications array for robots. You know, there's like all sorts of robotic animals that are kind of like the main antagonistic force in the game. And the Tallnecks, like, they're too big to really concern themselves with like humans, so all they do is they just wander around, and they're like very passive. But they're like an iconic feature of that game. And Watchers are like little velociraptor type things that just have a big old lens. And like they're little scouts and sentries and stuff, and like they're very much like the first low common denominator enemy, because they don't really have any special attacks. So like if they spot you, they alert other robots, but also they will just try and like run and jump into you, because that's pretty much all they can do. So it's like the first enemy that you face in the game, and often ones that you can like I guess befriend, overtake, charm, whatever, however you want to describe it, and then like the most iconic in the game. So yeah, it's just it's a really a gorgeous model, and a nice little play set. So that's coming in May to coincide with Horizon Forbidden West's release, or sort of it getting released rather, because I believe Forbidden West is supposed to be coming out soon, like next month, I think. So yeah, so I saw that news and I was like, this is great. This is something to counterbalance like the other weird stuff that's coming out. So then finally, Netflix. So again, streaming service, streaming adaptations and everything. BioShock live action film adaptation. This one, because it's going to be a Netflix original and because it's BioShock, it's going to be dark. So yeah, I guess like a BioShock film was in the works, and it was going to be directed by Gore Verbinski, but like he wanted to give it like make it an R-rated film, and whatever studio was going to work on it was like, nope, can't do that. And so the project kind of like dropped and it sat there, and then Netflix is like, we don't care, and so they picked it up, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of weird and possibly disturbing stuff happening there. So get prepared for all sorts of under the sea steampunk big brother little sister nonsense. And for those who are unfamiliar, so big brothers are like almost like, it's hard to describe. They are people who have been, I don't know if they're genetically engineered or given all sorts of like super soldier serum type stuff, and then outfitted in these giant like Victorian era diving bell costumes with a big drill arm. And they act as guardians for what are known as little sisters, who are little girls that essentially produce some sort of material or something that, I don't know, fuels psychic ability or things like that. Or they become psychics or something. But yeah, there's it's meant to be a bit of like a feel bad type thing. So yeah. Oh, and it's supposed to be like, yeah, humanity, like some sort of apocalypse thing, and humanity, like this is some sort of utopia, post-utopian society under the ocean. Uh, yeah, I don't know. BioShock's weird. If they want to make a movie of it, go for it. I mean, it's probably one of the better video game properties to make a movie adaptation for, or a stream series adaptation for. Um, I know we're also getting a Halo one, so sure. I don't know. I feel like Halo's kind of been done to death, like the story. Like there's only so many times that you can just be like, oh, we got to go blow up a Halo. Or oh no, the Covenant, or oh no, the Covenant. Oh wait, it's a Halo. I don't know. And at a certain point, like Halo just becomes The Walking Dead. Spoilers for anybody that hasn't played Halo 1. 20 years later? Yeah. So, all right. That is finally going to wrap up our not so quick fire news. So we are now going to talk about the book of Boba Fett. Okay. So let me preface this. So again, spoilers. But I really enjoyed Book of Boba Fett. I do think there are certainly some criticisms to be had. One of which is, I think I do kind of agree in that if you're going to do like a 7 or 8 episode series, not having the character the series is named after in like the final 3 episodes, or not prominently featured in the, or at least like Boba Fett didn't show up for 2 episodes. That is a significant portion of that series. Like when you, like if it was 12 episodes where he didn't show up, like okay, there's other stuff going on, but like when you don't show up for episodes 6 and 7 out of an 8 episode series, that is 25% of your series. That's a pretty significant chunk. So I don't know if they had just called it, I don't know, some sort of like calling it like The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett or something. So at least like they would acknowledge that, oh yeah, this is also a Mandalorian series. Because it was a whole episode where it was just oh, is it Jin or Din Djarin, where it was just Mando, right, doing Mando stuff. And it's like, I mean, I get that the whole point of this series was to keep Mandalorian fans, give them something to tide them over until season 3 comes out. But like, I mean, there was no Boba. And like, it didn't even have to deal with Boba's stuff. It was just what's going on with Mando. And then the episode after was what's going on with Grogu and Mando. But I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I love those episodes though, because I like The Mandalorian as a series. So, I'm not going to say no to those episodes. But it was like I was really getting into like learning like sort of what the shift for Boba Fett has been from bounty hunter to crime lord ? Or just not crime lord and just like took over and now wants to clean things up. I don't know. Like, he's a crime lord without doing crime, and just willing to employ criminals and ne'er-do-wells to help keep the peace. But also forcing out people who are gonna like pray. Yeah, a very unusual. I think it's an unusual take. But again, like I don't know. It all felt very Star Wars to me. I know there's been some consternation about the hot rodders in Tatooine. Um, yeah, I do think it was a bit silly. Like it just like it was too bright and too shiny. Uh, because like in that era of Star Wars, uh, like I think that stuff would have fit if it was a High Republic era. Because like it fit very much in with like the look of the Naboo starfighters. Um, but like Rebellion era and post Rebellion era is like everything's like dirty and dingy and like it looks like everything looks used and dusty, especially on Tatooine. Like everything should be like pelted with sand and sandblasted, everything. Um, and so it just looked too clean and too flashy. Uh, and also they moved like super slow, so it's like I don't understand why anybody would pick that as a mode of transportation. Because it's like you are puttering down the street. But whatever. But at the same time, it's Star Wars. Everything's silly in Star Wars. So it's just like comparing it to like Luke's land speeder in A New Hope is that thing looks beat up and it looks like it's been dusted with sand like every day if it's its existence. Um, so the other thought is like maybe that they're off-worlders that like got recently stranded or something, and so like that's why their stuff all looks new. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Like maybe they're all from Coruscant or something. And it was also like how they dressed seemed a little out of place for Tatooine. Um, but again, I didn't really mind it. It was kind of a means to an end to give Boba a biker gang. So I just think you could have easily had them all ride speeder bikes. And I think that would have made more sense. Like we've seen speeder bikes on Tatooine in The Mandalorian, and like they would have been a lot faster, and they probably would have been a lot more prevalent too. Um, but so there's that. I really enjoyed. I really like the sort of uh Boba getting rescued by uh Tusken Raiders and then sort of like learning their way of life and eventually, looking to avenge them. Um, and that is sort of the switch in that thinking he brought their destruction. Uh, when it turns out that he was fooled. um, but yeah, no, it was great seeing a whole bunch of the characters come back. See the Marshal come back. I think was great. I love the fact that like they show like just how wild you can get with uh you know back to tanks, right? And I mean, if you really think about like there are some grievous injuries that people come back from using back to tanks. And so it's like, yeah, why aren't you using them more often? Boba's using it all the time. Anybody he comes across, it feels like. Uh, and that to me had a little bit of a D&D feel to it of like, yeah, people get injured, people can get like mortally wounded. And, if you find a cybernetic specialist and a good back to tank, uh there you go. You can avoid death no matter what. And it had a little bit of a feeling of like, yeah, we got resurrection spells, it's no problem. Uh and I mean, there it could be argued that like it takes some stakes out of it, but I don't know. I think there's still some stakes in uh of like being mortally wounded like that and then coming back and having cybernetic implants, which they also cover in the series, with Fennec Shand and Boba rescuing her, and getting her the cybernetics. So yeah. Uh yeah, the Marshal coming back. I don't even know the name of Amy Sedaris's character, but her coming back was great. Um oh, and having oh geez, Ahsoka and Luke show up. That was a pleasant surprise. And just some of the banter between Ahsoka and Luke was so good. It was so good. Of just like, I'm a friend of the family. Uh, um, and I was like, they're gonna. I After season 2 of The Mandalorian, I was like, they're gonna send Grogu off with Luke. That's gonna be it. They did that. We are not gonna send. We are not gonna see Luke again. They kind of cashed out with doing this big reveal, and then when I saw like they brought him when they were just like, yeah, no, we're totally gonna go visit Luke, and we're gonna have a whole episode where you're gonna see a lot of him. I was like, wow, okay, so we're really doing this. We're really going here, and we're doing this. Um, like on the one hand, I did have a moment where I was like, oh great, so like just when we thought we were finally going to get a series where like it moves away from Skywalker's and that stuff, like especially with Grogu going off with Luke to train, it was like, oh great, now we can like move away and do like other stuff in the galaxy. And then it was like, nope, we're right back with the whole Skywalker stuff going on. But at the same time, oh, it was so nice. It was so nice to watch. So like I'm part of the problem. I can't. It was nice. It was nice having the roles reversed. And Luke sort of passing on the teachings of Yoda to Grogu. Was nice and interesting. Um and we see the construction of Luke's Jedi school as well. So I wasn't like, unfortunately, my memory is not quite so good for details. So I don't know if the planet that they were training on was meant to be the planet that showed up in The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, where the Jedi school was, or if it expanded out from there. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I don't know if like this is going to be a springboard for the Ahsoka series. And then, I mean, from here we go right back into season 3 of The Mandalorian. And like the whole Darksaber stuff going on. Which I'm excited for that. Admittedly, I still don't know a lot of the lore concerning the Darksaber. And so the idea of like, I don't know, the weapon becomes heavier if you don't feel like you deserve it or something. I still don't quite understand that sort of a thing, and how like you have to be in tune with the weapon for it to not drag you down. I don't know. Or if there is some sort of like force or psychic component, like in D&D terms, it's making me think that like, oh, like it's an intelligent weapon and it only wants to be wielded by someone it deems worthy. And so like you got to prove you're worthy and you got to believe you're worthy, or it's going to sense that and it is going to force you into a situation where you lose it to someone who is worthy. So yeah. I also I think Mando's whole thing of totally seeing that Mando was part of a cult, and especially when they melted down that Beskar spear, and saying like essentially Beskar weapons aren't meant to be used against Beskar armor, and it's like, are you sure about that? Because like at the same time, you make all sorts of weapons out of Beskar. At least I think like all of his little rockets and stuff I thought were made out of that, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. But it was nice to make Grogu a little chain shirt. Thought that was a nice little touch. Which makes me wonder, like, how heavy is Beskar? Like, is Beskar the equivalent of, like, in terms of weight, like steel? Like mithril? Like, is it lighter than steel? Is it heavier than, like, is it like adamantine? Is it, because like it's supposed to be a lot stronger, and it's supposed to be able to resist lightsaber stuff somehow. But yeah, so because like if it's not lightweight, now I'm picturing like poor little Grogu now being like weighed down by it, because chain shirts do not distribute the weight evenly. Is it all rests on your shoulders? Like it's not like plate where there's straps and buckles and stuff to distribute your weight. So now you've given this poor little tyke this shirt that is just weighing down, like this armor that's just weighing down on top of him. And yeah, the fact that he comes back, I knew the fact that he comes back was probably entirely due to his popularity, because they could, like, if the general public had decided we're done with baby Grogu at the end of season 2, I think they easily could have just left it at that and said, yeah, we're done. But I think there's still enough popularity that they're like, nah, we got to bring him back, and we'll have him join back up with, like, we'll have him pick Mando. But now I don't know what that means for his training, though. Like, does that mean that he's not going to be training with Luke? Does that mean that he is now just an untrained, Force-sensitive individual? Because, like, that doesn't... That... that just seems like, no, you should probably still get some training on how to focus stuff. So, yeah. I don't know. It prompted so many questions for me. Of just, like, what does this mean for Grogu's future? And, like, does Grogu, like, give up using the Force? Like, does he cut himself off from it so that he can't be tempted to the dark side? Does this mean that he does not walk the path of a Jedi? And instead, just, like, does meditation and will do minor stuff, and ends up like Ahsoka. Who knows? Does he walk both the path of a Jedi and of a Mandalorian foundling? I don't know. That's the one that I was super excited about. Was like, oh, what if he actually just picks both? What if he is a Force wielding Mandalorian? So yeah. But I also wonder if this means that and it just goes to show, like there was some interesting stuff going on with Boba, but like it was in those 2 episodes where he did not show up, they did so many interesting things that it kind of overshadowed what else was going on, because it felt like they had like the first half of that series felt like a bit of a slow burn, like of setting things up, but then it's like once we got to Mando showing up, like it felt like it kicked it into high gear, and then we got like one episode where it was all of them, and then like the series was over. So I don't know. Like, I'd like to see more of Boba and Fennec and their crew doing their thing on Tatooine. And I don't know if we're gonna get to. I don't know if we're gonna see that in Mando season 3. So yeah, I kind of wish that the season was just longer and that they had more time to breathe and let things happen. Because the 8 episodes did not, or I don't even know if it was 6. I think it was 8, but it did not feel like it was enough. So yeah, so I would say length was not long enough. Because like it felt like it was a good slow burn, like, and I was getting into it, but then like it just sort of kicked up the pace and then ended the series like within the last 3 episodes. So for me, the pacing, like, I also think though that if they did that slow burn all the way up to the end and then ended it after 8 episodes, like, I don't know. I felt like it might have moved a little too slowly in the first half of the season because it was such a short season. Like, it kind of felt like they just set up a conflict. But you know, we also got a big old Rancor fight, so there's that. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for what we see in Mando season 3 to piggyback off of this, and whether we get to see another Book of Boba Fett. So yeah. You know, I think that would be good. Music was great. I mean, I like the Book of Boba Fett theme. And then they had, you know, little interludes, like when Mando would show up, they'd play the Mandalorian theme. Mandalorian theme is so good, folks. It is just so good. And you know, but I also did really like the Boba Fett theme, with the vocalizations. And it felt, to tie it into, I guess, the theme of like camaraderie and, I guess you could argue, found family ish. You know, it has that feel to it in the song. And I think that ties in nicely with the overall theme of the show. And you know, I mean, as far as Star Warsness, it's right up there. You know, personally, I'm okay with stuff happening on Tatooine. You know, everybody's like, oh my God, why are we going back to Tatooine? Why do we keep going back to Tatooine? I don't know. Tatooine's an interesting place. I mean, personally, for me, I would rather have them do like 100 series focusing on one planet and like really develop up that planet, then then in a span of a single series jump around like a half a dozen planets that are all reduced to like single set pieces. Because Star Wars does that thing of, oh yeah, this planet or this moon is dominated by one ecosystem, and it's like, that doesn't exist. Aside from deserts or ice planets, that doesn't exist. And it's deserts because it dried out, and it's ice planets because it gets no sunlight. But yeah, like, if you've got water, you know, unless you're an ocean planet, which, like, those could exist, you know, stuff where like there's very little land mass, like that could exist. But if you're, you know, an Earth-sized planet and you have a similar, you know, like landscape, like if you've got water and you have land, you're going to have a diversity of ecosystems just based on what gets sunlight, what gets heat, climate's going to change. And so you got to think about that. I guess I'd also argue that like volcanic planets, that could also be possible if it's just a although I would classify that as a subset of desert, and it's just you just get a lot of lava flowing around on there. Although actually technically all three could be considered deserts. Yeah. It's just one's a desert covered with sand, one's a desert covered with snow, and one's a desert covered with lava. So there you go. Desert planets totally okay, ocean planets totally okay. Everything else you should have a like the whole planet's not going to be covered in woods. Like there's some portion of that planet or moon that you are not going to have trees. That's a thing. But yeah, so I'm okay with Tatooine. I think Tatooine's an interesting planet, so I'm okay with spending so many series there. That's fine. But yeah, I kind of want to see more. I want to see more of what Boba and Fennec are up to. Because I think they have a good dynamic, and I think they're being fleshed out as to some interesting characters. So, yeah, Book of Boba Fett streaming right now on Disney Plus. All episodes are out. You can binge them all if you like. I enjoyed it. I think it's got some great Star Wars stuff in there, and yeah, I think the crew is definitely knocking out of the park with their series. Overall, I liked the sequel saga. I don't know whether the sequel trilogy. I think there's plenty of criticisms to be had, but overall I enjoyed them. I think these series are far and away better. So yeah. All right. That is going to wrap that up. So we can move on to Questlog real quick. All right, so for Questlog, I did in fact get another Chapter 1 comic colored. I might have gotten 2 colored actually. I honestly don't remember, but I did also complete. I don't remember the name of the zone. Oh, Treasure Trove Cove. That's right, Treasure Trove Cove in Banjo-Kazooie. So now I have to find and complete Clanker's Cavern. So I found the next zone. I found Bubble Gloop Swamp, which typically I think comes after Clanker's Cavern. But yeah, I'm still trying to find the place. Clanker's Cavern's a weird zone where like it takes place pretty much in one room. And in that room is a giant mechanical whale shark thing. So yeah. And it's like, dirty, grungy water and things like that. But yeah, ultimate, I think there's going to be a lot of difficulty with this level because there's a lot of swimming and underwater portions. Yeah, the swimming mechanics in Banjo-Kazooie, they don't hold up. It's difficult to swim around. Just having the camera style that they have, and then essentially tank controls on top of that. It's a bit tough. So definitely pose a challenge, but first I got to find the place. So we'll see if we can do that. But yeah, completed goals, and we're still working. We're still plugging real hard at them, at getting those comics colored. So at least by the end of this year, we will definitely have a book out. So looking forward to that. And that is Questlog. So that is going to wrap things up for this episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. thank you all for joining me for this Book of Boba Fett spoiler cast and various trailer news. If you want to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, you can check out my website over at 8-bitadventures.com. Over there you can find my webcomics, my artwork, VODs for the streams, podcasts, and all that other stuff. If you would like to support that content, the best way you can do that is to become a patron over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and you get all sorts of either early access or exclusive access to things. And big shout out and thank you to all of my current patrons. Thank you very much for your support. Finally, our opening theme is One Up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. As always, thank you, Professor Shy Guy, for 255 episodes of using this theme. So yeah. Yeah. God, that's a lot. That's a lot of episodes. So, before I get all sentimental and sappy, again, thank you all for joining me. Hope you have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And as always, have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.